I was more excited when I saw the contract with all that money. I knew I was gonna make it rain on those. Hey! No.
Hi guys, welcome to today's video. It's Work Abroad Wednesdays, and I am delighted to be able to share with you a powerful episode on how to get an international job with Google and also end up in a position where you can leverage that experience into building your own global business. And I'm so excited about sharing this episode with you, even though I filmed it so long ago that I look drastically different. You'll be able to tell as soon as you start watching the video. It's a journey that I witnessed personally, and I can attest to it because it is by my own baby cousin, Bammy. She is the founder of Twerk After Work. My God, our entire family was like, oh, when she first started out, but she is an absolute boss and you're going to love it because she talks about her journey from moving from Canada to Ireland, landing a job at Google before she moved to Ireland. And I think this is going to be a great episode for all of you who are looking for inspiration about how to land a job at one of the FAANG companies and also how to get the confidence to make a career transition when you're working with a company that's arguably one of the best in the world. Bammy is now in a position where she earns, Lord knows how much, but she earns a lot from her Twerk After Work business. She employs people and she has gone from a very shy, retiring young woman into a thriving businesswoman, and I couldn't be more proud of her. So let's dive right into it.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel.
Hello, this is my silly baby cousin, Bam Boogie, Bammy. So I brought her here today so that we could talk about, a whole bunch of things I think you guys would be interested in. Primarily how to get a job at Google, how to get a job abroad as a young, black, beautiful superstar. Oh my god, yes. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to get a job at Google, especially if you are young and you're just starting out. My cousin got her job while she was still at uni, right?
Yes,
college.
Yeah. Before I graduated college, uni.
Yeah, because a lot of people have said, oh well, it's all well and good you talking about getting jobs abroad if you are like already a little bit older and you have a formal career, but you can start these things out when you're much younger. It's exactly what I did. But I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of hearing about my story, so I thought it would be good to get Bammy here to talk about her journey from Canada to Ireland to working at Google and a whole bunch of other stuff. So yeah, how did you decide to apply for Google and stuff?
Well, I think when I first was at university in my 4th year, I always knew that I wanted to move back to the UK. So I always had in my mind that I'm gonna come back to London and I'm gonna do something amazing. I didn't know if it was gonna be working at Google or it could have been working at Topshop, but all I knew is it was gonna be amazing because I was gonna choose to do that.
I worked in Topshop, it was not amazing, babe.
Well, I would have done it amazing. So I just always knew I wanted to come back, so that was always my vision. So I would say for those of you looking to actually move abroad, the first step is actually just having the vision in your mind, and then everything will start coming.
I love that you said that because you can tell that we're family and we're aligned, because once you have that goal then you can work towards it.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed that you did that at such a young age.
Thanks. Yeah, go get it.
Yeah, so what tips would you give people who are applying to companies like Google? What was your strategy? Do you remember how long the process took?
Yeah, so if it's okay, I'm going to go a bit more back before even Google, because everyone just kind of jumped straight to Google. But before Google, there was Shell, there was Nike, there were loads of different companies that I applied for. There was EY, there was Deloitte, so many different companies I applied for, and each one of them I would get closer and closer and then always get shut down. So also don't ever feel discouraged if you're not getting where you want to go to, because Google kind of just happened for me. It wasn't necessarily my goal, I just knew I wanted to move. So tips I would have is to write a list. Don't be too specific. So even though you want to have a vision, don't feel overly pressed by that one company. Because for me at first, I think it was EY that I really, really wanted to work at, and I got to the 2nd or 3rd round and then it didn't work out. So that would be my first tip, is have a vision but also have options. My second tip would be build a genuine network of people who can support you. So they don't have to be people who worked at the companies, but for example, my sister Yemi, she had a job at the NHS and she was already in, you know, the corporate world. So I just said, hey, can you look over my resume? Can you help me practice with interviews? Because anyone who has a job anywhere can actually help you prepare for your interview, doesn't matter the field. And then the last tip I would have is, in your interview, always be yourself and also ask them questions about the corporation, because maybe you don't even want to work for them. Maybe your morals and your strategies don't align. So be as honest as you can in the interview, or you're just going to end up unhappy.
100%. I genuinely, we didn't even talk about what you were going to say, and like the tips that I give you guys is exactly what she's just said. For me, when I was growing up, I know you talked about Shell. I grew up in Nigeria, and there was a time when we had like big oil spills, and like lots of people, lots of communities were impacted by Shell's activities, but they didn't really take responsibility, and I didn't really like that. And even as like a young undergrad, I was just like, look, if they're the last company on earth, I don't think I want to work for them, so I wouldn't even bother applying. And those are the kind of like things that you need to do, because I knew that even though that kind of company paid a lot of money, I just wouldn't be happy. So if you are concerned about like environmental issues and sustainability, then you don't necessarily want to work for a company where every day you'll be doing something that's against what's true to you. So,
exactly, yeah. Always stay true to who you are.
So what was your Google process like? Do you remember that? Your application form and stuff?
Yes, so it's a very long process. To get a job at Google, you actually have to go through 5 interviews, and that is just a entry-level position. So yeah, it's very time-consuming, very pressuring. You really do have to prepare for the interview. The first stage is actually sending off your resume, and if it does get picked up by a recruiter, then the next stage is them giving you a phone call, and then they'll just screen you generally, find out a bit more about you, ask more about your CV. So know your CV really, really, really well. Like, that is your story, that's your selling point. Every point on that CV, you should have an example to be able to explain what you've done at that job, what the results were, how you made an impact in that company or in that volunteering position, whatever it is. And then after the screening process, you also have another interview, which I think is with someone from the team, if I remember correctly. Again, it's on the phone. And then you have, they'll usually invite you to the site, but because I was so far away in Canada, Google got money, but they ain't got that money to be flying over people from Canada.
They definitely do. They definitely do.
But they don't want to spend it.
They just hired my friend from Bangladesh.
Wow. And did they fly her over for
They flew
interview?
him to New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just for interview?
Just for interview.
Entry. It's not entry level position though.
No, it wasn't entry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Entry, they're not flying over. If you're still in university, they're not flying you over. So yeah,
this one doesn't even know what they're doing.
Let's not waste our money. So we did video interview, and it was 3 interviews on the same day, back to back, like I think 3 hours altogether. So that can make or break you. And yeah, one of the interviews was personality based, like behavioral based questions. One was technical, so you actually have to know what you're going to do on the job. And then the last one was a mix of both with the actual manager of the team to see if you'd be a good fit.
You got through the whole application process, and then you got your job. How did you feel about it?
I was so excited that I was crying. I was in my lecture and I ran out and I got my call from my recruiter. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And then I was more excited when I saw the contract with all that money. I knew I was gonna make it rain on
Hey, no. This girl is crazy. Okay, so fine, you got the offer, and I'm pretty sure once that all settled in, how did you feel about actually leaving Canada and moving to Ireland?
Well, I didn't see it as Ireland. I just saw it as an extra part of the UK. It was only when I got there that I realized it wasn't even part of the UK. I thought it was just an extra part of the UK. So I just thought it was going to be like just like London. So I had a real shock.
Okay, so what was that culture shock like? Because some of the questions that people have that ask me all the time is, oh, what was it like when you moved from London to Paris? And Paris is only 2.5 hours away from London, but it's still very different.
Exactly.
And then if you imagine the difference in culture between London and Dubai, then we're talking about a whole different level. So it does take some time to adjust. And I have people who say that they move abroad and then they struggle and then they want to move back after like 2 months. But I think that you really need to give it time. So what was your your adjustment process like?
Well, first of all, when I landed there, I didn't realize they spoke another language. So I was even looking, wondering, hello, did I even get off at the right stop? Because I'm not supposed to be here. Things were written in things look like Arabic. It was Gaelic. They speak Gaelic in Ireland, that I realized after the fact. And I was just like, wow, I've actually made a big decision. So it didn't hit me until I actually got off the plane and there was like no one to greet me, nothing. So the culture is, yeah, it's quite different than London. It's a very small town. It's not very diverse. Well, when I got there anyway, it wasn't very diverse. Yeah, it was very hard, especially when you didn't have anyone close to you there. I didn't come with my mum, my dad, my sister, no one. I just went by myself, and then my other nooglers, that's like new Googlers, they were like, oh yeah, I came with my mum, or I came with my cousin. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just literally came here by myself. I didn't even realize that that was an option, to invite someone to come with you.
Did you get an expat package? Like a relocation package?
Yes, yeah, I got a relocation package, but that's financial, that's not emotional. I needed emotional support. I needed a hug, but that didn't come in the package.
I think the reason why I also mentioned that is because you have this whole emotional like upheaval, and then imagine if you didn't have a relocation package, and then you have to like figure the whole thing out yourself. You have to find your accommodation as soon as you land and all of that stuff. And I always tell people that it's important for you, if you're going to make the move abroad and join a company, make sure that your package is solid, so that it's tough enough moving to a new place where you don't have that emotional support, you don't know anyone, and then try to deal with admin at the same time. No.
It's too much stress. Definitely negotiate that with your recruiter.
So how did you manage to like actually then settle in and adjust, and what was it like? Black girl only?
Yes, oh my gosh. It was really hard, to be honest. I didn't settle in for a very long time. Settle in. It wasn't until I started my company, Bam Bam Boogie, my brand, Bam Bam Boogie Day, Bam Bam Boogie Day, that I actually felt like I was getting more settled, and that wasn't like probably 12 months in. At first, I just felt very isolated and secluded. I felt very alone. I didn't feel like I had anyone to connect with, because in Canada, most of my friends were quite diverse and like super fun and outgoing, and like we were really just going for it, living our young girl, hot girl summer life. And then I come to Dublin and it's like so cold and grey, and everyone just wants to go to the pub. Like, yeah, it's really hard. But advice I would give to you is that give it a chance. Try and find more of your community or people who do things you like. I didn't do that. I was just super young and I just wasn't interested. But I think if you go now, we have things like Eventbrite, meetup.com, Facebook groups, Eventbrite, like search in something and then just go by yourself. But for me at the time, I couldn't even deal. So I couldn't even think that far.
It's very easy. I know, like when I first moved to Paris as well, like I had to say, I moved with a friend even, but we were just like, we have to push ourselves and try. So we actually didn't really hang out together. The only time I saw her was when I came home. But I knew that if she wasn't there to put that kind of pressure on me to head out, I would just stay in the house and just like, oh, like what is this place, you know?
It's so good you had her.
It takes a while for you to like feel settled and like be outgoing and make new friends and stuff, and it's a process, and so just don't give up your first few months. So yeah,
agreed.
Last question before I ask you a few other things. What was it like, your whole experience as a black girl in tech?
Oh, black girl in tech, black in tech, hashtag it, baby. Being black in tech, and specifically in Ireland, was a struggle, to be honest, because it's always like you have this feeling of imposter syndrome, that you're not good enough. And I didn't even really understand the difference between like sectors. It sounds silly, like to, you know, banking sector, finance, fitness, all these things. At the time I was just 22, I just wanted to live my best life. Yeah, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm in the tech sector, I'm getting into the tech sector. I just took the job, because my job, I was non-tech but in tech. So you're still in that bubble, and people, I feel like they do look at you differently, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, people do look at you differently, and there is something that's kind of...
Maybe.
Excuse me, my hair was weave. I had weave, straight weave middle part, okay? So there was nothing different about me then. And people just looking at you, wondering like if you're meant to be here or if you're just receptionist or whatever. So it was, yeah, it was quite difficult being black in tech. But I just kind of looked past it and worked so hard in diversity groups. They have things called ERGs, that stands for Employee Resource Groups. And we had one that was called Afro Googler Network. So it's basically for the black people who work at Google, and that was really a great support system for me in some ways. So yeah, it was great to have that.
Would you say say, okay, so guys, I'll just let you know what Bammy does. I'll put it in the description box below. But she has her own fitness empire. And didn't that start while you were at Google? Did they encourage you to do that? And
yeah, it started while I was in Google. They encourage you to bring your whole self to work, and we have something called G2G, Googler to Googler, where you can volunteer your services. Like if you speak Spanish, if you dance like I do, encourage other people to do that at work. So I founded my company in the company. So I was an intrapreneur before I was an entrepreneur.
that is so interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. Entrepreneur, when you're an entrepreneur, but in your org. Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite cool.
Cool. Well, do you have anything to say about Bam Bam Boogie?
Bam Bam Boogie. Support us. Follow us at BamBam_Boogie or BamBamBoogie.com. And yeah, we're encouraging you to be fearless. So if you want to step outside of your comfort zone, try something new, head down to a class, and then who knows, maybe you'll find that confidence to move overseas and do what you love.
I didn't even ask her to say that, but she did. Woo! But actually, you didn't say what Bam Bam Boogie does.
Oh, Bam Bam Boogie, we form fearless females through innovative dance fitness programs, workshops, hen parties, all of that jazz. Head to the website and you will be able to see and book everything.
I'll link her Instagram below. And I'm going to try and film another video with her as long as I can grab her here to talk about her entrepreneurial journey and what it was like to start a business as a young, fearless, black
woman.
It's okay. You just like, as a young lady, get off my channel. I told you Bammy knows her stuff, right? She is so good, and I hope that you found inspiration from that. If you want to know more about Bammy's business, click the link in the description box below. And if you are looking to make your own transition, whether it's into a FAANG company, a land your dream job with one of those types of companies, or pivot and leverage your experience and transfer that into a new role, then make sure that you click the link below to sign up for the waitlist for the exclusive advanced live private training that I'm going to be hosting on how you can transform your career. And whenever you're watching this video, perhaps you might be eligible to watch a replay. Never know if you don't check it out. Thank you so much for subscribing and just being absolute gems. I have loved reading your comments. Let me know what you think about Work Abroad Wednesdays, and let me know what topics you would like me to cover. I can't promise that I'll do all of them because you guys know that I am slammed with all of the things that I do for work. But of course, I will add it to my list and I will try my utmost best. All right, toodles, bye.